Hey, how's it going? Hold on. Okay, I'm back. So, hi, please observe the signage. I'll wait. Okay. So I pulled 2 cards today. One from this here deck, and the other from this one. So, how was your day? Mine was pretty good. I got started doing this a lot later than I would have liked to, I guess, but it's okay. So first card I pulled is Drifter, number, I believe it's 14. Yeah, 14. And it says, Drifter, experiencing life as it comes. So when I pulled this today, I don't know, it just made me start thinking of a sci-fi movie, because, well, the first thing that caught my eye, and this is not necessarily anything sci-fi, it just kind of fit with my inner narrative, I guess, but those sails on that ship there are, I'm pretty sure, Chinese sails. I don't think I've seen them on any other country's ships. And I don't really know. I have a vague understanding of how sails work, as far as like using it to go any direction other than straight with the wind at the sails, directly at it or whatever. I know that it's complicated, and a lot of sort of minute little activities have to take place, and I guess when it's a small ship, stuff that could be down to one person, but still, I think there's a lot of sort of calculation in using it to navigate, using them rather. I don't know what all that is relevant to, but you got it. So anyway, what I thought of when I saw this was one of those disaster movies where what is the one, The Day After Tomorrow? I think there's some flooding in that, but it's like one of those sort of climate related sci-fi stories where, either everything's on fire or toxic and polluted or flooded. And oh, there's my little pal. I have to take a minute to feed him. Yes, I'm coming. Hold on. Hi, not quite there yet, but I don't want the camera to go black on me because then I lose stuff. Hold on. Okay. Pardon. So yeah, disaster movie, and of course I can't help but think of there's a YouTube channel called When the Earth is Angry, and I don't know why I'm laughing, because it is not funny. It's about natural disaster footage, and luckily in a lot of the stuff that's been happening lately, there haven't been there could have been way more fatalities than there were, so that's a really good thing. I'm just gonna duck over here and grab my drink. And I watch it every once in a while, and I'll share it sometimes, but I don't do it a lot because I don't like to caption it with my own anything, because there's not even really narration. There's some text that they include, but very little, very few times is there anyone actually speaking on there. So I don't want to add any more to it. To explain that I'm not putting this on here because it's punishing and thrashing people or anything like that, because someone that I know on Twitter had a crop of pumpkins, and some kind of weather event happened and it took out the whole patch, and I think some other stuff too. And I said, "Oh, Mama's angry," and then he was like, "No," because he's in Mexico, and he was like, "No, it was the Mexican goddess of something with a bunch of syllables that's kind of hard to pronounce, and since I don't remember exactly what it was, I'm not gonna just make something up because I think that's impolite." So, but anyway, she is like a Earth Mother god, and it just is part of the cycle of life, which is also true. But I I grew up in the Christian culture where, even though I know better, well, sort of. I mean, I don't think it's right to say that the Earth can't be angry because we're like abusing the privilege, basically. So I guess I'm kind of in the middle on that, but I don't post it I post it for people to see the power of what's happening, of like the Earth forces, but I'm not trying to assign an emotion to it, I guess is what I'm saying. But I'm also saying right now that I don't think that there's not an element of anger in some things, because like if we think of it as a co-creation, and also I haven't talked about this too much because I don't really have enough information to back it up and make it make like sense, but in a nutshell, there's evolution. We could reach to a point that we have been a person, a human person, or whatever other place a person can come from, and evolve to where we're a planet. And you have, I mean, obviously a planet is going to have a completely different mindset than like you or I, but having been here, and also that we are Earth's children, basically, because our components are made of, stuff from Earth that, fell on Earth from space, and Earth is also a thing in space. So it's like, we are the product of her. So, and there are times when what we're doing, or what we have been doing over a period of years, is either ruining us, the people, or other beings, or the spot actually itself. And there are floods, and I suppose there have been, like, I don't know if it was like a water world situation, but it sounds like it was, what's happening now with ice melt and other factors that are heating up the world and making it a hotter, damper place. And like the Tower of Babel, like a little flood came in and washed that all out. But having looked into these historical tales about these events, I just have I'm wondering, like, was it an all over flood? It sounds more like what is happening right now, where certain areas are getting just washed out. And I can't ascribe, like, whatever transgression some area created, but I mean, there's a lot of elements that contribute to a natural disaster, and I think that the people on the place where the disaster happens, there is a little bit of something to do with it. And to go further with the planet as a former person analogy, well, why can't it, like, actually get a little bit annoyed with us for, we're screwing up ourselves, we're not following, like, the natural plan of nature, and it's like, it's not like we don't contribute to things. that happen like that. Like I said, it's a co-creation. It's a bunch of different threads that probably need a lot more explanation that I've given, and I'm not going to give more because I don't want to take that kind of time. But I just thought of all of those things with this card, and then like the boat, like the sail, for some reason is glowing like it's like it's the last hope on earth. But I think that's also a metaphor because, like the floods, they will be smaller events than the Bible, for instance, would suggest, and localized, and so there would be like a contingent of people that lived, right? Because if there was like an all the whole world covered with water flood, I mean, Noah and the boat, that's a metaphor. I mean, something about it may have happened. There may be a story similar to it because, again, small multiple floods everywhere. So, but so there would be, if it were all over, like really, how could you survive long enough to? Well, I guess God in the Bible story told Noah how long, or how to have enough food and that to provide for the people and the animals. But think about it, man, that's a lot of food and a lot of water they had to come up with, and the cooking and all kinds of, just like a lot of stuff. Like, really, I mean, how big was that boat? Did it have labs and stuff? But anyway, in the smaller flood situations, there will be survivors because the whole thing is not covered with water, and as of now, we can still farm. It's getting harder, and that's another sort of climactic Earth thing that's happening. That's a problem. We have to figure out how to fix that. I just have the full-on glare on there. Sorry. But yeah, this is not the only light of hope that there would be in a natural disaster situation. And we see how people distinguish themselves in these natural disasters. Like, anyway, there's always helpers and savers. You know, in our polarity, though, of course, there'll also be people that'll shoot dehydrated, starving people trying to escape drowning after a hurricane by shooting them to death as they walk across a bridge. So we got all the elements mixed in. Let me read from the book. It says, Drifter, what lights you up? Experiencing life as it comes, seeking the essence but not knowing the form. The drifter invites you to step out of your to-do list and your ordinary routine to feel the breeze against your skin, calling you to follow the wind and explore life's opportunities. When the drifter appears, it's a sign that it's time to cut the mooring lines holding you to the dock. It's not important to know the destination before you set sail. It'll become clear as you leave port. Do not wait for a map, as there are none, to where you are destined to go. But be sure you do have a compass to keep you true. Yours is a pure love and your intention to be free, even of your own beliefs and preconceptions. If you appreciate the energy of the drifter, here you might not seem to be doing anything worthwhile or meeting someone else's expectations. That feels like a familiar refrain in my life, if not expressed in those words, in others with expressions and sounds. You know, that close-knit communication that happens. Here, okay. Your laziness, not meeting someone else's expectations, but you are the only one who understands that others are running full out on the hamster wheel and getting nowhere. I did notice that. Your laziness is an underappreciated virtue. You know that life will find you and bring you everything you require without your having to search for it, by simply being instead of frantic doing. And that is philosophy that I have come to embrace. It's working for me. Even as you let your mind wander, releasing it to go on a daily walkabout, call it back home regularly to deliver news from the cosmos. The drifter helps you find what you are looking for, even when you didn't think you were seeking anything. So I guess I got like kind of biblical in all of that with it, but I thought he called me Mr. Kitty. You are kind of in the scenario that I came out with. You're kind of facing the same elements. Mine was a little bit more on the like. Well, it wasn't as positive as it could be, but you know, you have both ends of that spectrum of, you know, what kind of times you're having. So deal with it, I guess. Okay, so the card I pulled from the Wild Unknown, this one, so I don't stumble all over the title of these things, was the Earthworm. And that is, wow, in light of what I just said, I'm not sure how that works, but well, I wasn't talking about an entirely flooded world. Because if you've noticed earthworms, when it rains, they are up out of the soil. And I think the reason is because it gets too wet down below and they have to get up out of that environment so they don't drown. And when I was in junior high school, I had to dissect one of these guys. And they're basically a straw. It's like their internal mechanisms are so freaking different from ours. They're not just a hollow cylinder, but they have an opening at either end. And of course they're a different creature, but they're not really set up inside like we are at all. And I was appalled that I had to do it. I felt a little better that it wasn't a baby pig. I don't think I could have done that. I think I would have just, well, I got a bad grade as it was, or I think I got it like a C, maybe a D, but I was partnered with another person, and they were just determined to, like, it was kind of that thing, like, what does the right say? Like, own the libs. Like, that was how he was acting. And I'm like, dude, we're both going to get a grade on this. Why are you screwing it up? Like, if you want to talk shit to me, talk shit, but don't. Yeah, so I don't know what that was, because I don't even know that I ever had contact with that kid before. Like, I don't even remember him, except for that incident. And also that I didn't know him, is what I thought at the time. And it was just like, why are you screwing us up? Like, what? I didn't understand it. And that's how I feel about the conservatives sometimes. You know, you don't always have to understand every detail of what someone else is doing. Then the best you can do is just like go along and do the best you can under the circumstances. But the worm, I guess, is kind of that way too. They have no exoskeleton. They're completely vulnerable to being squashed to death. But I think they're one of those animals that if you like nip off a piece, it can regenerate. I'm not 100% on that, but they might well be. But they serve an important purpose, you know, as lowly as we humans will think that they are, because I think we mindlessly just squash them when they're up out in plain view when it's wet out. They're trying to survive, and you know, we're just walking by like, ew, gross, you're in the way, or you know, you're a kid or something and you don't get it. Well, whatever it is, I just see them like stomped all the time. So maybe it's like repulsion for the way they look. But they serve an important purpose, especially when it comes to humans and our food. They help aerate the soil by moving through it. When they travel, they basically, I don't think they're eating it. They might be eating stuff in it, but basically as they travel in it, it goes right through them. So that's why I had that straw thing in my mind. But it's an important service, and even if not in like farmland, because I live in an apartment complex, and there's farmland nearby, but not here. And not for, there's blocks, and again, Safeway and Rite Aid right down the street. So it's not like fields like immediately around me. And that's when you see them, when it's wet out. And also slugs, although they're not on here. But those will be out and stepped on too when you're out. So I just wish they wouldn't squish them. Just let them go, let them be. But whatever they're doing around here is working for the grass and soil and plants that are here. And birds get some fresh meat. Anyway, and they would not do well, by the way, in a world covered with water situation. So let us read from the book and see what it has to say about the earthworm. Oh, that's the rabbit, so that's not what I want. Come on, I think it's the first guy in here. Oh, it's the bear. There it is. Second guy. Excuse me. So, earthworm. Shy, hesitant, reluctant to share inner vision. Well, sure, if it's coming from inside of it, people might think, ew, gross. I'd be shy, too. Just taking it all the completely wrong way. We have felt the woes of the earthworm at some point along. We have all felt the woes of the earthworm at some point along the way. What? You haven't ever felt lower than a worm? Not once? Good for you. The earthworm indicates a newbie or novice working to establish confidence in a new field. Others around you may seem wise and experienced, but it's important to remember that they once felt earthworm energy too. This card is a reminder not to be intimidated or lose hope. Mastery takes time, and you're on the right track. Besides, rumor has it, a beginner's mind offers the most valuable insights. Yeah, have you ever, been around some younger person, at work or something, and they'll just come up in a conversation, maybe there's something that needs to be worked out, and a solution needs to be found. And you might be in conversation with a coworker or your boss and just be hashing it out, and just have some young twerp walk by and go, you just have to blah 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 blah, and it's the totally perfect right thing, and you're just you're right, I just want to strangle you. That, do you know that energy? Well, it's happened to me many times, but I have also been that person walking by with the bip 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 and just get the glares, but they'll just do what you said anyway. That's a fun dynamic. So, when in balance, earnest, intelligent, valuable. When out of balance, self-conscious, apprehensive. To bring into balance, speak up, risk embarrassment. When out of balance and apprehensive, it makes me think of the worm has got totally different insides going on, but it's got some kind of thinking mechanism in there, and they gotta know when they come above ground and get on the concrete and that they're taking a risk. from predators and inconsiderates just walking around, walking all over them. I mean, I've done it a couple of times where I just wasn't looking and stepped on one and been like, oh, ew, oh my gosh, sorry. Like, you know, it's a risk. But we bipedals are, like, we're in like a similar situation. If you're gonna like worry about it, there's danger walking out of the house. You know, like, you could just as easily make a wrong move and turn into somebody else not paying attention that's in a vehicle and you're not, and you collide, and it could be significant, you know, because we don't really wear exoskeletons either. We're soft shell as well. But you know, the earthworm, they just keep on going. They don't give up. Oh God, I don't know what their breeding is like. Oh, actually I do. There's a video, like one of those weird things videos, and somebody stuck a camera underground. Oh, I think people were like trying to work inside some pipe underground, and I think it was like a city pipe, you know, a municipal thing. And I believe it was in one of the Carolinas or that area where it's like hot and marshy, or Florida or something. And these guys go into this tunnel. So like, we're talking big, like men can like go in there and like walk or whatever. Or maybe they put in a camera, but they have to do work in there. And there was an occlusion, and they stick a camera in there, and the occlusion is this red throbbing mass that's just all moving and glistening and just funky looking. And finally they realized that it's like a bunch of worms in there, like having a mating orgy festival. And so I guess I did know something about them, and it looks like they got the roach philosophy. If you see one, there's 50 billion more. We're down here making sex balls to make sure of it. I'm saying that even the lowest contributor plays an important role and cannot be deterred. It's very earnest, and we may think it's low, and it is a different sensibility, but it's an important being and concept. Thank you and good night.